The 2022 NASCAR season has come to a close, and with that, it's now time to look back at the predictions that were made at the start of the year. And starting off, I'm going to be doing a review of the predictions made by my man Sonicrules831. So let's not waste any more time, and let's get right to the predictions.
So for my first prediction, I'm going to go right into Speed Weeks. We're going to talk about the Clash, Daytona, and all that fun stuff. So, what's going to happen at the Clash at the Coliseum? A very hyped up event. First of all, I think the Clash will be a hit, not to mention with it being in a large market like Los Angeles. I think it could potentially be a race we talk about for years to come. With that being said, I predict that Joey Logano will win the Clash at the Coliseum.
Joey Logano leads Kyle Busch by 2-3 car lengths to the checkered flag.
Jumping now towards Daytona, I predict that William Byron will win the pole award for the Daytona 500. Let's face it, the trend says if it's a Hendrick car, you got a good shot.
Bro!
As for the Truck Series season opener, I predict that for the second time in 3 years, Grant Enfinger will win in his return to GMS Racing.
Congratulations, Zane Smith ran a very calculated race.
Yeah, and he can thank Parker Kligerman.
For the Xfinity Series, I think this driver will pick up where he left off in November. Daniel Hemrick will win the Daytona Xfinity season opener.
Austin Hill having a good time on that turf down there I was commenting on earlier.
All right, way to go, man. Woohoo!
And as for the 2022 Daytona 500, I'm going to go with a little bit of a different pick. I am going to say that Alex Bowman will win the 2022 Daytona 500. Moving on now to prediction 2. This will be the first time winners across all 3 series. So across all 3 series, these drivers are who I think could get their first wins in 2022 in their respective series. For the Truck Series, I have Carson Hocevar and Derek Kraus getting their first career win.
As for the Truck Series first-time winners, unfortunately, neither Hocevar or Kraus managed to get their first career win. But let's go over the list of drivers that did manage to win. And starting off, we have Corey Heim, who got his first win at Atlanta and then followed it up with a second win at Gateway. And then we wouldn't get another first-time winner until the playoffs at Bristol, where Ty Majeski got his first win, and then he followed it up with another win at Homestead. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but Matt DiBenedetto actually managed to get his first win in the Truck Series. But what's not as surprising is that it was at Talladega. I feel like that's par the course for how a driver like him would get his first win.
Moving over to the Xfinity Series, I have 4 drivers who could get their first win, those being Sheldon Creed, Austin Hill, Sam Mayer, and Landon Castle. Of course, Landon Castle is moving over to Kaulig Racing, and this is going to be a big year for him, and we'll get to see if he has what it takes. I think he does.
So as for the Xfinity Series, we only had one first-time winner this year, and it was Austin Hill, who won at Daytona and Atlanta. And this is definitely unfortunate because a lot of the other drivers that were listed, they all had good opportunities to win. Sam Mayer had numerous opportunities throughout the year to win a race, and Sheldon Creed, man, I wish that he won that second race at Darlington. And even though Landon Castle didn't win, he still had the best statistical season of his career. So next year, there needs to be a massive amount of first-time winners next year, because we need a lot to make up for how underwhelming the new drivers were this year.
Moving on to the Cup Series, I think at least one of these three drivers will get their first career wins. I have Austin Cindric, Daniel Suarez, and or Tyler Reddick. I think these three drivers have a really good shot at getting their first win in the Cup Series in 2022.
So for your Cup Series first-time winners prediction, you managed to get all of those drivers right and then some. So let's go into it. And to start off, we already got to say that Austin Cindric went out and won the Daytona 500. And then we already got a first-time winner that wasn't on the list, and that was Chase Briscoe, who won the race at Phoenix and thus became the 200th different winner in the entire history of the NASCAR Cup Series. And then Ross Chastain went out and got his first win at COTA after basically just straight up moving AJ Allmendinger and Alex Bowman out of the way. And then he followed it up with a second win at Talladega. And then Daniel Suarez, who finally got his first win at Sonoma. And to wrap it all up, Tyler Reddick, who got his first win at Road America and then doubled it up with 2 more wins at Indianapolis and Texas. So I'd say that this was a pretty good crop of first-time winners that we had in the Cup Series this year.
Moving on to prediction number 3. I did this last year. This will be basically who wins at all the new tracks or the new races for the season. The Truck Series added Sonoma, and the return of IRP. I predict that Ben Rhodes will win the Sonoma Truck Race.
And for the first time this season in the Camping World Truck Series, Kyle Busch is going to go to victory lane. Career win number 62. Kyle Busch wins at Sonoma.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
Oh my God! No!
Zane Smith will win the Mid-Ohio Truck Race.
Out of my way, son! Please! I beg you!
And I almost had it.
And I predict Chandler Smith will win the IRP Truck Race.
A subpar season, but he has turned it around in one start of the playoffs. Grant Enfinger wins at IRP.
Moving over to the Xfinity Series, of course, Portland being the newest track on the schedule. It's a road course. You can't go wrong with going with AJ Allmendinger for this one. So I have Allmendinger winning at Portland.
Well, AJ, that was a humdinger.
Yay!
And lastly, the inaugural Cup race at Gateway, a track that I've always wanted to see on the Cup Series schedule. I predict that Denny Hamlin will win that race as well.
Off turn 4, Joey Logano.
Nice job, dude.
The Penske Ford Mustang, a winner in St. Louis.
Prediction number 4, who gets the most wins across all 3 series? For the Truck Series, I think John Hunter Nemechek will pick up where he left off. The only thing that he was missing last year was the championship, and he'll be a threat again this year.
I can smell you.
In the Xfinity Series, I'm going to say there's a toss-up between Ty Gibbs and AJ Allmendinger. I think these two guys will be a couple of drivers that are going to be talked about a lot in the Xfinity Series.
I don't know who to thank first. Oh, I know. Me!
That's right. Noah Gragson managed to get the most wins in the Xfinity Series this year, with a total of 8 wins. And Ty Gibbs ended up coming up second to him with 7 wins. So if anything, this really goes to show that it was definitely an oversight to not consider Gragson for being one of the dominant drivers in the Xfinity Series this year.
And as for the Cup Series, I'm going to say Kyle Busch gets the most cup wins. I'm really feeling it for Busch with the new car and everything else. I think he could have a pretty big season in 2022.
No, stop! What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
No, you maniac! What are you doing? Only a fool would play God!
Prediction number 5. I said this in my previous video, but I'll say it again. Austin Cindric will be the 2022 Rookie of the Year for the Cup Series. He will be competing against Harrison Burton and Todd Gilliland, and Cindric definitely has the best ride from an equipment standpoint. He does have big shoes to fill replacing Brad Keselowski, but I feel like he'll do just fine. Speaking of Brad Keselowski, prediction number 6 for car number 6. Brad Keselowski will find victory lane in 2022 with his new team. He's still very competitive, and he's helping turn around a team that hasn't seen victory lane a lot in recent years.
Don't remind me.
I do think Brad probably just gets 1 win, maybe 2, and a ticket to the playoffs.
So how many wins did Brad Keselowski end up getting?
Well, it's 0. That means it's nothing.
As a side note, I would keep your eyes on Chris Buescher too. He could make some noise. I don't expect RFK Racing to light the world on fire immediately, but I would watch them over the next few years. I think this team will get better with Brad Keselowski.
Chris Buescher will win his 2nd Cup Series race, and it happens in Bristol.
Yes! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
I think that looking back on their seasons, I'm just going to put the stats up for both Buescher and Keselowski. There, I think that puts it all into perspective.
Prediction number 7. So, this unfortunately has to do with things kind of out of NASCAR's control. So during the first bit of the season, or at least the Daytona 500, I do anticipate that the racing could be on the more conservative side. I say this after some car owners have reportedly been talking about the shortage of cars during winter testing. Now, I don't think there'll be anything drastic like a team misses a race, but you could see some drivers being very focused of taking care of their equipment more to start off. Now, who knows? These cars are completely different, and these drivers are going to have to adapt to how these cars race compared to the previous Gen 6 car. Hopefully by summertime, we won't have any shortage issues. We can hope anyway.
Can I get a
Prediction number 8. Hailie Deegan will perform better in 2022. By that, I think she will put in some more top 10s, and she'll squeeze in a top 5 as well. I don't think she'll find victory lane just yet. I do think she'll probably need another season in the Truck Series after this one, but I think the signs point towards improvement for her this coming season. To put in perspective, she only scored 1 top 10 in 2021. I think she'll get more than that this year.
Do you really want to know how much better Hailie Deegan was this year? Yeah, that's not really much better. However, I will say this. Hailie Deegan actually did make her debut in the Xfinity Series this year, driving the 07 car at Vegas, and she managed to finish 13th, which compared to her finish in her Truck Series debut was better. So I genuinely think that Hailie Deegan is better suited for an Xfinity car than she is in a truck. Kind of like Harrison Burton.
As for prediction number 9, I do believe that once you get your first win, not only are you hungry for more, but more wins will soon follow. And I think that applies to the defending Xfinity champion, Daniel Hemrick. Last season, it felt like Hemrick was the unluckiest driver ever, as he found so many different ways to lose a race, but when it counted, he finally made it happen, scoring the win at the championship race at Phoenix, and scoring the championship as well. He's now off to Colic Racing, and This is a team that I think many fans will have their eyes on this coming season, especially they will be competing in the Cup Series full-time this time around for 2022. I think Daniel Hemric is going to pop off and win about 2 to 4 races this coming season. I also believe he will for sure be one of the top championship contenders again in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
Now, this is something I really didn't want to say, but this year it was pretty much back to square one for Daniel Hemric, as he didn't win a single race this year. And on top of that, he was also eliminated in the first round of the playoffs. And that really does suck, because I thought that this year Hemric was going to build off of the success that he had attained last year from the championship. But this year, it was pretty much the exact opposite. So that's why I am still hoping that next year, Hemric can turn things around and get back to running up front and even getting more wins again.
For prediction number 10, let's talk about the Truck Series playoffs. The 10 drivers that I have making the Truck Series playoffs are Grant Enfinger, Carson Hocevar, Zane Smith, Stuart Friesen, John Hunter Nemechek, Chandler Smith, Ben Rhodes, Christian Eckes, Matt Crafton, and Derek Kraus. My championship 4 are Ben Rhodes, John Hunter Nemechek, Grant Enfinger, and Chandler Smith. And I predict that the 2022 NASCAR Camping World Truck Series champion will be John Hunter Nemechek.
Yeah, this is big brain time.
Down the backstretch, Zane Smith, the runner-up each of the last 2 years. Can Rhodes get to the bumper and move it? Zane Smith is winning it, and he has done it. The championship goes to Zane Smith.
Oh, man. How good is that?
So for prediction number 11, I know I discussed this in a video recently, but thinking about it more and more, I think Kevin Harvick will find victory lane sometime in 2022. I only see him picking up a win, maybe 2. Again, I know I recently made a video discussing that he might be on a potential decline, considering that he also was thinking about retiring at the end of 2021. But I think in 2022, we're going to truly see what's next. I think Harvick, however, will pick up a win and most likely be the lone Stewart-Haas car to make it in the playoffs.
It turns out that Kevin Harvick not only got 1 win this year, he managed to get 2 wins at Michigan and Richmond. And I'd say that this was a pretty impressive turnaround for Harvick because of how bad last season went for him.
Do you have a lucky horseshoe up your ass now?
I hope it stays right on up there, because
I had some jokes here, Steve, but you know what? This is a family show. Move on, move on.
Prediction number 12, we're now going to talk about the Xfinity Series playoffs. Here are the 12 drivers that I see making it. Sam Mayer, Sheldon Creed, Justin Allgaier, Josh Berry, Noah Gragson, Landon Castle, Daniel Hemric, AJ Allmendinger, Brandon Jones, Ty Gibbs, Austin Hill, and Riley Herbst. For my championship 4, I have AJ Allmendinger, Ty Gibbs, Noah Gragson, and Daniel Hemric as the championship contenders. And I predict that the 2022 NASCAR Xfinity Series champion will be Ty Gibbs.
2, Ty Gibbs is going to win the race and the championship.
Hip hip! Boo! Hip hip! Boo! Hip hip! Boo! Hip hip!
Boo! You stink!
Prediction number 13, I'm going to talk about Josh Berry. He was one of the biggest breakout drivers of 2021, and I think he'll follow suit in 2022. I project he will win between 3 and 5 races in the coming season. He ran really well in his races for Junior Motorsports. He got a couple wins, and I think he's going to be someone to watch. He could be another driver that even makes the championship 4. We'll have to wait and see.
Supersonic! racing. Try to keep your feet right on the ground. When you're supersonic racing, there's no time to look around. We're just supersonic racing, running to the point of no return. Everybody's supersonic racing. Come on, let the fire burn.
Prediction number 14. So you know that the Knoxville truck race last year got really chaotic. Well, this year I predict that it won't be as chaotic as last year's. The reason I say that is because I think a lot of drivers, especially that are returning, have learned a lot about the track, and now there's more knowledge and data towards the track for teams as well. So we'll see if there's any difference compared to last season's race, because last year's, yeah, you know how bad it got.
You'll be happy to know that this year's edition of the trucks at Knoxville did go better than last year's race. However, I still have to bring up the fact that the camera crew completely missed two of the biggest wrecks that ever happened in that race, and they just didn't even show them. Like, seriously, what were they thinking up there during that entire race? How do you miss that? But aside from that, the race itself still went off without any other major issues, and the winner of the race was Todd Gilliland. And that was definitely an impressive win for him, and despite how good this year's race was, the track still has been axed from the 2023 schedule. And I really think that it's in large part because of how bad last year's race was.
So for prediction number 15, I'm going to keep this simple. Throughout the entire Cup Series season, so not just the regular season, but all throughout the playoffs as well, I predict we will see 16 or even more different winners.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Prediction number 16, the Cup Series playoffs. The 16 drivers I have making the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs are Austin Cindric, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Larson, Brad Keselowski, Tyler Reddick, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Christopher Bell, Joey Logano, Bubba Wallace, William Byron, Alex Bowman, and Kurt Busch. As for my championship 4, I have Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, and Ryan Blaney as my championship 4. So who's going to take home the Cup Series championship in November at Phoenix? I predict that the 2022 NASCAR Cup Series champion will once again be Kyle Larson.
Are you okay?
Prediction number 17. Just like last season, I'm going to once again predict that Chevrolet will win the manufacturer's title again, just like they did in 2021.
Yay!
Come on! You can do better than that!
Yay!
Prediction number 18. I think William Byron will finally hit that breakout. He got his first Cup win in 2020 and picked up another win at Homestead in 2021. This year, I think he gets more than one win. I think he's going to get about 2 or 3 this coming season. I do think Hendrick will be the best team in 2022.
William Byron did manage to get multiple wins this year. However, it was only the bare minimum requirement of just 2 wins at Atlanta and Martinsville. But what's interesting about this is that Byron ended the season with more wins than Bowman and the same number of wins in the regular season as Larson. But that still just kind of goes to show that Byron is kind of like Hendrick's version of Ryan Blaney. And if anything, he still needs a little bit more to truly be able to show up and dominate on a week-to-week basis like his teammates in the Hendrick camp.
Prediction number 19. This is where I'm going to make a 2023 silly season prediction. And that is with the recent announcement that Eric Almirola will be retiring at the end of the 2022 season.
Just kidding, bitch! It's good. It's good. The f is the... Hold on a second, how old is his milk?
Speaking of Ryan Preece, let's go into prediction number 20. So as you know, he's going to be driving some cup races for Rick Ware and some Xfinity races for some satellite teams and running truck races for David Gilliland under a contract with Stewart Haas. So with that being said, I do think Ryan Preece will at least get a truck win in his selected starts that he has with DGR.
To the inside of Zane Smith for second, but that's just what Ryan Preece wants to see. He wants to see those two battling. It's going to be Ryan Preece going back to back at Nashville.
Coincidence? I think not!
Prediction number 21. Man, I'm really running out of prediction ideas. You know what? Let's throw in an ARCA prediction. Why not? So I actually had to take some time to look at who's actually going to be able to compete for the championship, and I'm going to go with Nick Sanchez to win the ARCA Menards title. He and even Roger Carruth, I think, are going to be a couple drivers to watch for 2022. These are a couple guys that I'm pretty confident will be coming up through the ranks in the coming years. And finally, prediction number 22. We have reached the end of the 2022 NASCAR predictions. And this will pertain to the 2023 NASCAR Cup schedule. It has been hinted that we're going to see even more changes on the 2023 schedule. With that being said, I predict that a street course race will be added to the Cup schedule next year.
So it's official. NASCAR is going to be doing their first ever street course race in 2023, and they're doing it in Chicago. And you know what? I'm just going to come out and say this right now. Not only am I willing to give this idea a chance, but I think that this race will be a moment in history, for better or for worse, regardless of what happens. And that will wrap up this predictions video. I definitely think that this year, Sonicrules831 definitely had a lot of good ideas with his predictions, and I hope that going forward into next year, we can continue to keep doing this. But other than that, this is MF17, and I'd like to thank you all for coming by, and I hope to see you again soon.